Hello everyone, and would just like to say it's an honor to be here. Last time I was here was 15 years ago, and so since then, been on quite a journey, and it's good to be back home. Before I get started, I would like to say that there's probably a little bit more commercial element to my presentation than some of the others. So, that's sort of the price I paid to get to come here. So, I want to talk today a little bit about a concept that I'm calling sustainable communications. And it's something for all of you, any of you that have customers. You should be able to apply this to your customers, to your readership, to your subscribers, but just some ideas and thoughts that are coming from another side of the printing and publishing industry that can hopefully provoke some ideas and possibly some behavioral changes in your organization that will improve your relationship with your customers. And I work for HP, so I'm not really, I haven't touched an Apple since Dr. Husney's class 25 years ago, so I'm gonna try to do this. Okay, so just want to point out, I live in Germany. So we've had Norway, we've had orientations. Kati did a very bad job of promoting Finland, but she's beautiful, so unfortunately, sexism still exists, so she was able to get by with that. But I am in Germany, and I want to tell you something very interesting about Germany. That is Germany. You see it in the middle? And what's the big thing around it? United States. Germany is approximately the size of New Mexico, but it has 1/3 of the population in the US. So we have over 90 million people in Germany. And so think about that. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And do you know what we like to do in Germany? Anybody have a guess? Obviously, your conference was not really a success. No, we actually like to read. We really like to read, okay? We have about 94% literacy rate in Germany. We really like to read. You see? We really, really like to read. We like reading so much, we even take some of those Mississippi rednecks from Tupelo, Mississippi, where Miss Karen Blanton's from, and they even pretend to read one of our German magazines. So there's Elvis reading Bravo, which is still a very popular celebrity magazine. And of course, how can you get your hair done without a magazine? I wouldn't really know about that. That's not one of my pictures. So that being said, there's 2 events going on right now in Germany. One is the Frankfurt Book Fair. It will end tomorrow. It's the world's largest book publishing industry show. Lots of interesting things going on, and actually this year there's one feature. Finland is the country where they're focused on, so it's showcasing Finnish publishers and publishing. So that's a very exciting event, and then we have another event, which some of you beer people may know about. Oktoberfest will go for one more weekend. I think you're much better to be here than there. And I will just say this for me, those 2 events, I'm missing one of them, and I won't tell you which one. So let's get on to the thing. So I know that we have a blogger here. I just signed up for Twitter last night. So I don't know, do you twit this, or what do you do? Here's my, can you guys do something with my name on Twitter right now?
That's your handle.
Okay, that's my handle. So obviously I did it wrong. Okay, so could you do something? If you've got your machines, do something, because we're going to look at that in a little while. So start tweeting away or whatever you do. I actually couldn't figure out how to load it on my phone. I don't know. Whatever you're supposed to do. It's for later in the presentation, okay? I didn't think that far ahead. Guys, when I left here, 15 years ago, because we had a magazine day program and several of us were together then, I was involved in the high-tech industry out in California, and we saw the promise of the World Wide Web, the stairway to heaven, an incredible opportunity for publishers, for journalists, for readers, for subscribers, transforming all these industries, doing amazing things. I mean, do you guys remember the first time you came on the web? Remember those days? Okay, some of you were probably born on the web, so it doesn't really work for you, but no more printed forms, PDFs. Really, I would say one of the best things that's happened is the forms are all PDFs now. The problem is that started to put printers out of work because we had huge companies in America that all they did was print duplicate, triplicate forms. And some of you younger people probably never seen these. Even University of Mississippi, they had 5 or 6 pages of these forms that you would fill out and it would duplicate on the next pages. No more printed forms. That's very good. And it's also good. No more brochures, okay? No more, so this is good for Where Magazine, so everything can be in the magazine or online. No more brochures, they're gone. No more newspapers, they're gone, they're on the internet. Why do we need a newspaper? And why need a magazine, right? Everything will be there, online content, better touch with our readers, we'll make more money. It will be an amazing place to go. And I don't need to go into this, and yes, I know most of you are on the magazine side, we just sort of ignore our sister newspapers, but you see something's happened there. Go to the nursing home and visit them someday. But we see huge decline on newspapers. So the road to heaven the clouds started getting darker, right? For the publishing industry, for the printing industry where I'm involved, for suppliers, really started seeing things happen. In the year 2000, it was predicted, and it unfortunately came true, 35% of printers would be out of business in 5 years. It happened. So all of a sudden, things started changing with this World Wide Web. And this is Cologne, Germany, during World War II. Dr. Husney and I actually met a couple years ago, and we went into this cathedral, but they did a small amount of renovation. We bombed out the publishing industry, the journalism, everything was at risk. I mean, new rules, new changes, an incredible technology platform that sort of overshadowed I would even say, integrity of journalism and really where we would go with editorial direction, et cetera. That, the web is everything and everyone is their own editor, publisher, everyone is a reporter, et cetera. And this is what we ended up with, something that looked like this. We had these great things come up. We first had the World Wide Web. You had a URL, maybe there was one for Ole Miss or MrMagazine.com, et cetera. Then you started getting these cool things, right? You've all seen them, you all know them. So Twitter, which I'm still learning about. 5 million tweets per day. What's the population of the US? So more tweets are being sent every day than the population of the US. Isn't that phenomenal? It's fantastic, isn't it? Facebook, blah, 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 stats. If you get a copy of the presentation, they're all linked. 180 million transactions per day on Facebook. Fantastic. Oh, is that per hour? Sorry. Per hour. Isn't this great? You guys have got to probably be making a lot of money. If you're only getting 1% of that $1 million in dollars, then you probably are all making great money because of transactions on Facebook. And now, little commercial break. This is just an inspiration piece if we can figure out how to do it, Dr. Husney, without. Okay. Digital billboards, which is a little bit unrelated, but I just Brussels Airport. This is a $300,000 billboard. Looking at the billboard. Okay? Let's watch it one more time if I can. I think, okay, count the number of people looking at the billboard, okay? All right, so this is how you try to keep the listener engaged, by tricking them that there's nothing happening. Okay, close, get ready. Count the number of people looking at this expensive billboard. Okay, so this is just a thought. I'm not saying something about pass along readership or CPM. Just think about that. Here is my Gmail account. I have 12,000 unread messages. The Economist, Lotto, Baden-Württemberg, Kundenservice, GQ, Deutschland, SlideShare, Change Organization, Real, Newsletter, Twitter, Facebook, Marco Polo. Great. Why would I even open those? Hey, if you guys are sending emails, don't send any to me. 28% of the time of most workers in the world, 28% of their time per week is spent managing and dealing with email. That's more than 1 day of work. So wasn't this amazing? We went from memos. Dr. Husney, I think when we were here, you guys had memos. A memo was a printed piece of paper, and the way that you would make sure everyone read it is you'd initial it like an autograph and pass it around departments or whatever. So then we found email, and it was really cool when you got your first email. Then you got your first 50, it was really cool. Then you get 12,000, and you're thinking, maybe there's a better way to live. Okay, this number. Can anyone guess what this is? This is a stat I collected at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Okay, what? Good answer. I'm looking for something even worse. This is the number of websites currently active in the world. And on here is the link where you can actually go to the counter. This number is huge. So that's how many websites there are. So I'm sure you all have great websites, and I'm sure that they get a lot of hits, and I'm sure they're easy to find out of this 1 billion. And growing by the second. If you go to people have a presentation, you can get a link. I can even go now. It's become what I'm calling an event horizon. Does anyone know what an event horizon is, students? Any of you taken a class in physics or astronomy? Or ever see Morgan Freeman on Nova or whatever show it's on? Does anyone know what an event horizon is? It's a point, it's a concept around a black hole where you get to a point where there's so much mass that you cannot get inside or outside. An event horizon is sort of like the end and the beginning of everything. And what I'm saying is we have an event horizon with the World Wide Web and all those great tools. There's so much stuff going on every second, you can't escape it. And surfing the web is truly an art now. How do you get across over those 1 billion pages to get to your customers, to get the information you need? It's really a raging river that's out of control. And we can't open the specified file, so my assistant, for once, Dr. Husney, will just skip that. It was sort of, what? It's okay. It's not critical. It's just a guy freaking out and dying from overload of social media. Okay? So can you just sort of get the idea?
I can show, I can.
This is good because it used to be, I was the one panicking during these kinds of moments.
Which one of these?
It should be media overload, social media R-load. It's not really, that's not me, that's me with hair. No, it's not.
If it doesn't,
Do you see compelling content there? Really content rich? Okay, just a minor point just to show we really it's great that we've got a new platform, the electronic media platform. What do we do in the future to survive this? All right. So now, what I want us to try to start thinking about is look at your customers, your company, your employees, your colleagues, and how you can work together. Let's go through just a little bit more. I do want to point out, by the way, I call bloggers bloggers, blah, blah, blah. But I have one here, right here. Stand up, please. I was actually impressed. So sometimes you do networking. So here I found someone who's actually blogging with content, with passion, and with credibility. I'm being recorded, so I can't tell you about some of my experiences doing PR for one of the world's largest technology companies when we started bringing bloggers to PR events. I can't talk about that. You see me after the show. Consumer attitudes after all this, after all those great things. I mean, I want to be part of that billion, don't you? That's a great place to be. But these ignorant consumers, they actually prefer paper. I mean, unbelievable. They prefer reading from paper. And by the way, you give me that nice MP3 file of Tina Marie or whoever it was, Karen, singing from the 80s, and I share it with 16 people. People really think once you have a digital file or any kind of magazine, whatever, you can freely share it. So that's definitely, once someone possesses those files, they pretty much feel like they're the new publisher. So you've got a preference for paper, and you also have the challenge that people really, once you have it digitally, it's yours to distribute universally. So now we're going to do some experiments, and it's really bad to be here so early in the morning. As I've complained several times to Dr. Husney about, I work sort of virtually, or I work in an office, and I can stand up anytime I want or sit down anytime, or I can move the desk up, but I can't really sit in a lecture hall for 3 or 4 hours before the next break. So I thought some interactive activity would be good, even though this just, let's say, a morning jog. All this is inspiration, right? This is what got me here, so I have to say something. All right, so look what we have here. We've got email, and what do we have over here? Post, okay? So I would like a show of hands. Which would you prefer, to get an email from someone in your family or a letter? Everyone for an email, raise your hand. Okay, everyone that's for a letter, raise your hand. Did you think that the lecturer wanted to hear that? Please. Okay, that didn't work real well. Let me try something else. In the last 3 months, how many of you have gotten a personal letter from someone? Stand up. Stand up if you've gotten a personal letter in the last 3 months. Okay. All right, so all of you guys have gotten a personal letter, something in the mail, in the last 3 months. How many of you remember the content of that letter? Raise your hand. Karen, what is the last thing you got?
Probably a postcard.
What did it say?
Looking forward to seeing you at the conference.
Oh, okay, that's pretty rigged. Okay.
I do something called the African American Calculated Designers, and I got a handwritten note from Joy Moeller, who does like Leonardo DiCaprio's house, and she was just like, "Thank you so much for caring about our mission, even though it still hasn't gotten that far, and we've been doing it for 5 years." But she wrote me this really long note about it.
Very good. Okay, now, the people standing up, by the way, you need to send letters or postcards, and you guys are lying because I sent you a postcard. Because I knew I was going to do this, and Husney, you got one too. Of the people standing up, now, remain standing if you've sent a letter or a postcard to someone. If not, sit down. Who has returned and sent something back? You wrote someone. Who did you write?
One of my best friends from Tallahassee, we keep in contact over letters as well as normal contact, I guess, like text message. And
The normal is the text, and the cool, weird stuff is the print. Okay. Cool. All right, thank you guys. Now, we're still going to do this experiment a little bit more. Kati Kari, come down. Come here, please. So Kati and I somehow go really far back, and I blame her and her husband that I moved to Germany. Kati, please come here. You don't have to just say, I agree with everyone today. You actually have to take a test. Kati, I have in my hands a DVD of all the pictures and secret memories we've had over the last 25 years. I also have a book, a photo book. Which would you can only pick one. Which would you prefer? Sit down. I think she just did that. She really wanted this. Go sit down. Mari Kari, come down.
I'm not going to sing.
You did enough last night with all those young co-eds, even though your wife was there. Well, by the way, the first book was sort of bad. Would you like the DVD or a remastered, better version of a book? Okay, thank you. So, I mean, our natural tendency, while it was cool to get CDs and DVDs, and we probably all have many more pictures than we ever wanted to see now as files, but we never see them. And this is where you guys should capture the moment. The slow media movement is really big in Germany right now, and the return to print, particularly with younger people, 20, 25-year-olds, is huge because it's enough. It's so much stuff out there. What are we going to do? Mountains for a little break. What is this? No, what is this? What's the significance of this? It's, by the way, it is Newsweek magazine. Besides Dr. Husney, can someone tell me what the significance is? And this is first new printed issue of Newsweek, right? It's working again. People are starting to realize. And remember what happened to Cologne? Do you believe it? With the billion websites, all that, it destroyed our landscape. But now, guess what? We're taking the virtual and building back the mortar and brick. We're building it back piece by piece. And so you see, this is the Cologne that Dr. Husney and I visited about 4 years ago. It's coming back around. I mean, we've gone through the hype, and now it's time to really start looking at better ways to go. Now some more commercials are coming in, but now what we need to say is not only it all begins with print, but the new one-to-one is actually print. And I've got a lot more because I'm working in the print and publishing industry, talking a lot to commercial printers. But guess what? You're more likely, so I'm not going to trick you guys because you guys are going to try to answer to support me. Thank you for that. The people are more likely, something 50 to 60% more likely to open a direct mail that's sent to their post than they are an unsolicited email. So, guys, if you're doing direct marketing on email, I would just save that money for something else. I mean, your open rates are super low. I've been involved with a lot of projects. We see almost nothing. And by the way, you know why. Do you think I'm going to open that stuff? Do you think I'm even going to try to look through my 12,000 stuff? But hey, by the way, I have another email, Hotmail account. That's where the friends write. All my stuff I need to register, I use the other place. And I only go there when I need a password or confirmation. So the new one-to-one, and unfortunately we're in a live audience, so I can only say so much, but here is an example from my company where we worked with a major magazine that was discussed this week who wouldn't give us permission to talk about them, to do a promotion for their customers for Neiman Marcus to an event. And it not only has the person's name, but it has the address of the event. Incredibly popular, and this publication is doing a lot more. You can read about it. I have the file, but it doesn't mention the name of the magazine. But they're doing incredible stuff that's one-to-one, and it's working. Much better than saying, hey, Kimberly, please meet us at the event we're having, email. No one's going to open that. So print is really the new one-to-one. And when we think about digital, so I'm on the digital side. Digital is coming. to commercial print. It's going to come into magazine publishing more and more as the inkjet technology gets better. But anything from postage stamps to building wraps, we've got it covered at HP, but we're seeing incredible expansion in direct mail. So I know some people are trying to move a lot of your renewals and stuff to the web, but believe me, there's super power now. We're getting less direct mail. Back in the 80s, 90s, you would get stacks like that. And now it's gone down, so you're standing out in the crowd. If you can use some of the creative print technologies and let's say just good ideas, there's a lot more you can do with it. So just knowing that, way at the other end, we see popular mechanics with special inserts, et cetera, but we really, we find that there's more and more ways for us to find a voice, a one-to-one voice with our customers through print, not through the 1 billion websites. So print's very personal. Promotion, so here's some presses that can fix your needs. If you want to talk to me about that, you can do that later. Please delete that from the, sorry. Okay, now, I want to talk about sustainability. How many of you have heard in a business meeting in the last month in your company or with your customers or clients the word sustainability? Raise your hand. Okay, so sustainability is the new environmental, it's environmental with excuses, okay? So why I say that is to be 100% environmental, one of the things that we like to say, if you really want to be environmentally friendly, you won't print. You also won't use your phone. You'll go live in a cave and not start a fire even, because that's releasing carbon. Sustainability is actually the combination. It's sort of a common sense approach to environment, where some people said, hey, I can't do all this environmentally sound things because I'll go out of business. It's combining this idea of the environment, economic and social aspects of your company. Some of you are already doing sustainability reports. Those of you who are not doing those, I assume you'll be doing them in the future. Kati, do you guys do a sustainability report in Finland? It's pretty much required in the EU for people to do sustainability reports, but what it is, it really takes the concept of environment and puts two other dimensions to it. One being this social, the humanitarian, or how you're treating your staff, and let's say following laws and regulations. The other one is economic. Are you a viable business? You have to make sure when you start being the most environmentally friendly company in the world that you can still make money. So I want to take that concept to communication. So I want to talk about sustainable communication. This is the first time this concept has been introduced. I'm going to take you to Las Vegas next week to the Screen Graphics Industry show. But sustainable communications means that you're finding your content at the center, and you're really trying to match economic, social, and environmental factors to that. So it's going to be very unique to you, your audience, your products, but start thinking in this holistic approach. Look at the concepts of sustainability that companies are following and use it around your content. What's the sustainable way to deliver content and information to your customers and subscribers? Now, a little bit of break. I'm sick of hearing about paper, blah, blah, blah. Are there any undergrad students in the room? Okay, I hope you guys have paper and stuff. So now, I need you to calculate this. Paper is the world's leading renewable resource. This stats are 1920 and 2010. So we have over 750 million acres of forest land in the US. It's 15 million acres more than it was in 1920. And at the same time, the population doubled from 120 to 300. So could you please tell me how many acres per person is there in 2010 of forest land? You know what? That's like, don't say anything like that. Just give the answer. Of course. No, all right. Okay, who's got it? Try. Okay, never mind. Anyway, guys, more forest land. Okay, print is green. 65% of paper is recycled. In the US, well, it's actually a little bit less. In Germany, we're up to 80%. So we can't go any higher in Germany with paper recycling just because of the way it's done. Normally, paper is put back into the recycling stream 4 times. So there is a huge, like, you want to be sustainable? Do you see people in third world countries like tearing apart magazines, getting the glue out, burning them, and dying in the process? But you do see that with some other technologies. And by the way, HP's taking that very seriously. We have about 300 people that are working to actively stop this, let's say, recycling of these PCs in third world countries, which it's killing the people who are, they burned the plastic to get the metal. And this is one of the big problems. We don't have those problems. You know what you can always do with your magazine? You could bury it, and even just letting it go back into landfill. And it's more renewable than some of these electronic technologies. I don't want to really get into that, but if we just look how much lead has been dumped. So guys, there are some real issues, and everyone says it's a tree killer, right? I'll tell you what, do you guys think 1 billion pounds of lead is a tree killer? It's a human killer. So really, we need to do a better job of supporting print as a renewable, sustainable resource. And that was the sustainable idea. Now we're going to go into a message from our sponsor, and it's time for my assistant to make the next video run. Just an idea of mixing digital with print, okay? It's a blatant advertisement from me, but that's the price you have to pay for me to come to the conference. Sorry about that. It's called Late Wallpaper, HP Wall Art. The 4th one. And see if you recognize someone that's in the room as the actress in this. No sound? Oh, Okay, so what inspiration doesn't have anything to do with the magazine, but the digital experience is a one-to-one experience that has what? A high level of integration with print. Take this as a concept, a brainstorming idea for you to bring and align your one-to-one conversations you want to have with your clients, your subscribers, your customers, and bring print into the picture. And I think you'll find some amazing results. It's definitely very personal there. Okay, now we're going to play a game. Some of you may not like this, but I heard something good from Dr. Husney earlier. I would love for all of you to go back and have a mission to kill one of your messengers when you get back home. I would love for you to figure out which one of your communication platforms is really not effective, is not sustainable, and kill it. And I would like to propose one that I hold very dear to my heart that I would love to kill, and I have been working on it. I killed 27 in the last 2 years in my company, and that is a newsletter. Why do people keep doing newsletters unless you somehow get money for it? If you're getting money, why would anyone ever do a newsletter? Is it sustainable? You've got a website where you can put your news. You can have people subscribe to news feeds. They'll get the news if they want it, or they'll come get it when they want it. Newsletters, to me, seem to be super problematic, whether they're print or online. Because why? Oh, it's time for another newsletter. We have one good story and 5 garbage stories, but we got to do a newsletter.
That's just a bad newsletter.
Okay. So what's a good newsletter?
Mine.
Okay. Is it a commercial newsletter? Are you making?
World's oldest electronic newsletter.
Okay.
It's distributed internationally, and it gets to 16,000 publishers who read it every day.
Very.
Open rates are outstanding, and it has great longevity.
And do they pay for this?
Yeah, supported by sponsors.
Okay, so there is a revenue model for it.
Yes.
All right, then that's pretty good. How many of you have other newsletters with revenue models? Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
There are charities, not big ones, but very small targeted ones, who don't do all kinds of all this other stuff. And they do 3 times a year, you'll get a newsletter with the results of what they do. But they ask you to,
Subscribe, opt in.
put the sender in your address book so that
It's not in junk.
it's a well-known newsletter, but there's no revenue model. It's not mass. But the point is, we're talking about how you use this stuff, not a generic thing.
Well, so those are 2 examples of sustainable communication, newsletters at work. I had 27 newsletters within my division. We killed them all, and we just made an app for news because it was way too much. So we were sending customers and employees on a monthly basis 22 newsletters. So, but is there something that you could kill? Think about that. Is there one type of platform that's just your least sustainable? I just encourage you to go look, check into the sustainability concept and kill a messenger. And this is interesting, as we just heard 2 examples. There is definitely a balancing act. So if we want to start talking about sustainable communication stuff, you have to look across content, themes, types of information, and figure out where to put it, where does it work best? And it's going to be different for different companies. But like I could say clearly, company data. The internet's a great tool, right, for you to have company websites with basic information about your company, et cetera. There may be some other things, one-to-one communications. As you know, I'm advocating print for that. But you really have to look at this. And I just made up this chart as an inspiration. And it's something very unique because guess what? You've got to make good choices. And some days you may need a greasy hamburger. The next day you get the healthy salad. It's up to you where you are, where your customers are, where your subscribers are. You've got to do what's fitting for you. And there's, definitely there's not one place for all. So if there's one point from today's conversation, it's think sustainably when you're thinking about content. Sustainable content, sustainable communication. And with that, we're going to have Dr. Husney come and push a button for me again. For this, how many of you know what this is? Okay, that's good. So only 3 or 4 people. This is a very sustainable communication tool. Better than a Mac. Please be very quiet.
You know, once in a while, something comes along that changes the way we live. A device so simple and intuitive, using it feels almost familiar. Introducing the 2015 IKEA catalog. It's not a digital book or an e-book. It's it's a book. The first thing to note is no cables, not even a power cable. The 2015 IKEA catalog comes fully charged and the battery life is eternal. The interface is 7.5 by 8 inches, but can expand to 15 by 8 inches. The navigation is based on tactile touch technology that you can actually feel. Content comes pre-installed via 328 high-definition pages of inspiring home furnishing ideas. To start browsing, simply touch and drag. Right to left to move forwards, left to right to move backwards. Notice something else? That's right, no lag. Each crystal clear page loads instantaneously, no matter how fast you scroll. If you want to get a quick overview, just hold it in the palm of your hand and using just your thumb, speed browse the content. If you find something you want to save for later, you can simply bookmark it. And even if you close the application, you can easily find the bookmark again. Amazing. What about multiple users? For that, we've introduced a simple color coding system to avoid confusion. If you want to share a particularly inspiring item, you literally share it. Another special feature is password protection, which is voice activated. Excuse me, that's mine. At IKEA, we feel that technology this life enhancing should be in the hands of everyone. So the 2015 IKEA catalog is free. You can download one from your mailbox, the one you open with a key. If it's not there, try refresh the next day. Or you can upload yourself to the IKEA store and find one there. Experience the power of a book.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. We have time for a question or two.
You want me to? I'm fascinated. Great presentation. Your presses, do they run on computers?
Yes, they're digital presses.
And so the sustainability issues about the extra computers when they're done is the same as with any other computer?
Yes. Yep. Yep. I mean, that's, so actually this is an interesting statement. For digital, one of the things is if you're used to the old conventional presses, the digital actually per page is, let's say, has a higher CO2 or carbon footprint, but the idea is you print less. So certainly, I mean, the nice thing is even with the lead and all of this within the computer industry, all of that's being phased out with REACH and ROS and a lot of the other areas. But my other job is environmental communications, but there's definitely a push to fix that, because if things aren't fixed in the computer industry, they're obsoleted now. So there's a huge obsolescence going on now with technology. Yeah.
Lisa.
Can you talk a little bit about print on demand and what you see as the future of that related
Yep. When I moved from the Silicon Valley to Heidelberg Druckmaschine, and Dr. Hasni was instrumental in helping me get that position. The new mantra for this digital print was veritable data printing and direct print, all of these things, print on demand, etc. And to be honest, we don't see them happening. So veritable data, none of these, all of these technologies are there, but actually people are very seldomly using them. And one of the problems is when you put someone's name on something, unless it's cleverly done, it just looks like a gimmick. But we find very little veritable data printing and such being done by customers, except for some of the direct mail applications. But even there, it's being done in more clever ways.
I was actually asking not about at a printer, sort of big old huge,
Yeah.
presentation. I'm talking about the books you gave away.
Right.
In the sense that personalized or print on demand, it's affordable to do one copy.
Yeah.
And then you're like a liking source, which now has equipment and offices.
Yep.
Where publishers no longer
So Lightning Source is a customer for my division, and basically what Lightning Source does is they print books on demand, and it's books that have a very limited appeal or are very rare, and people are willing to pay $60 or $70 for a book. You can get them printed there. So they do have some other models that are a little bit more sustainable, but the idea is that book on demand particularly is a great way to get out of print books, but you're willing to pay the price. The challenge with this digital, the cost per page is too high for too much of this. Interesting enough, those 2 photo books that I made there, they cost in Germany about $18 each, which is actually pretty amazing. And I called and asked how they were able to do that, and they said if they need to keep their presses running. So we're seeing a little bit more on that side, but this is sort of that print on demand or rare or hard to find books.
What we're seeing on the magazine business side is print on demand for the equivalent of bookazines. And when you do, say, for argument's sake, a National Hockey League yearbook, and you're going to have the press run so much, and then you realize you really need another 2,000 or 3,000. Going back on a standard press, that becomes prohibitive. But because you, in a sense, are pre-sold, it's actually quite affordable. It's something to do that. So you're not creating, you're probably familiar with the efficiency on the
Right.
magazines and very well.
Right. But I mean, Dr. Husney's you've worked with MagCloud, another HP product,
yeah.
that's sort of been around for a long time, but you're buying like a CAD magazine for $22. So there's still things that need to be worked out there, but I think probably a lot of you are seeing this versioning and such, maybe advertisers like it, but really, when you've got a good appealing content and you're in contact with your customers or subscribers, you probably don't need as much customization as maybe me in my industry were hoped for, because your customers are interested in a variety of things, and with those 1 billion pages on the internet, they can pick and choose. So I'd rather see your overall editorial content than to be given just a selected because of my demographic or because of my location.
Yeah, my question had nothing to do with personalization.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.